Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dada's show, coming to you from Best Western Hotel here in Upper Hill in Nairobi. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. Now, as our name suggests, Dada's show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity amongst Kenyan women. And we do this by discussing any issues pertaining to your health, their lifestyle, their careers, their family, and anything that affects them in one way or another. Now, a single parent is a parent who was never married, so is rather unmarried, widowed, or is divorced and has not been married yet. Single parent homes are headed by a mother or a father, or in some cases, grandparents or uncles and aunties. We have witnessed a significant rise in the number of single parents in Kenya, so much so that according to data from the Kenya National Housing and Population Census of 2019, 25% of Kenyan households were led by single parents. This is in 2009, and the number has drastically risen to a whopping 40%. Of the households in Kenya are actually led by single parents. Now, the reasons to this upsurge are vast. Some of them we know, some of them we do not know. But the reality of the matter is single parent homes are a fixture of our society, and we need to understand and embrace them. So in the spirit of understanding and embracing single parenthood, I am joined by single parents today. And they are going to tell us how it is to mitigate and to navigate single parenting. What are some of the highs? What are some of the lows? And what are some of the things that you would wish the general public to know and acknowledge about the situations that you're in? So as always, we welcome you at home to give us your feedback, give us your questions, give us your comments on this topic and any other that we have aired before. Reach us on KBC Channel 1 across all social media platforms, and on my personal page at Ashiko, the host, across all social media platforms. So before we get into today's very engaging conversation, let's take a look at the following feature.
A single parent is someone who brings up a child or children in their household without a partner living with them. Single parent families come in different forms, including divorced parents or widowed parents. Lucy Kang'ethe, a counseling psychologist, tells us the most common single parent forms in Kenya.
There are various types of single parenthood, or rather the routes through which people become single parents. And some of them are that from teenage pregnancies. Others are from divorces that are on the increase, not just in Kenya, but worldwide. There's also where one parent passes on. And by the way, they are also elective. People just choose to be single parents.
Data from Kenya National Housing and Population Census of 2019 shows that 4 out of 10 households are headed by single parent.
You find that there's a lot of, I don't know whether to call it intolerance in marriage. And I think it is not like it's far-fetched, because when you find that people are in a relationship and they are not able to cope for one reason or the other, then the route to out of that marriage through divorce is coming out very fast.
The effect of single parenting on a child may be good or bad. Children raised by single parents face many challenges that can be social, psychological, or even economical that can result to erratic behavior.
The children who grew up without one parent, if it's a girl who grew up without a father figure in their life, when they grow up, sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes they may look up to get involved with older men as they are trying to fill in the gap that was left by the man that was supposed to be in their life when they were growing up and was absent. And the same case with the boy. Every child wants to have a mother and a father, and especially at school where bullying happens. And they feel like every other child has a mother or has a father, and them they don't have either a mother, they don't have, or they don't have a father. That is something that will make them feel like they don't fit in. Like they don't fit in with the others. So psychologically, it will affect them. And that is where they start asking the mother, what happened to my father? what happened to my mother. And that is when, even in therapy, I advise especially fathers that please be in the life of your child. Even if you are together, try and work out something where you are in the life of your child, such that when the child is with his peers or her peers, they can talk about their father just like the other children are talking about their father. Or they can talk about their mothers as much as the other children are talking about their mothers.
For any single parent, raising a responsible child is deeply desired. While this may not be achieved because of the gap, there are alternatives to ensure children are raised the right way.
Research says that 10 minutes with each child each day can do wonders for that child. And they will feel connected, they will feel loved, they will feel supported, and even for everybody in the community. Let's support the child. We need a child who is growing healthy. This is a resource that we have. Every child is a resource that we have as a community. If not that, then at least a grandparent or somebody who is close and can give support to this person who is irrationally crazy about the child.
All parents want to ensure their children succeed in school and life. It is argued that single parents are raised many well-behaved, successful people. For Dada's show, my name is Miriam Masaba.
Welcome back. So if you're just joining us, the topic of discussion today is single parenting in Kenya. And of course, like I mentioned before the break, we are joined by single parents. Like we've mentioned, 40% of the Kenyan households are headed by a single parent, meaning that this is a reality that we actually have to embrace. So allow me to introduce my wonderful audience. Right next to me, we have Cecilia Murugi. Cecilia, karibu sana to Dada's show. Then next to her, we have Esther Jogona. Esther, karibu sana to Dada's show. And finally, and I am so honored to have a gentleman on Dada's show, because I know it takes a lot of guts. It takes a man yule mwanaume anajijua. A man who is confident in his masculinity to be able to sit down in the midst of all this estrogen. And finally, we have Mr. Shadrach Okenyu. I can't wait to hear your story and to dig deeper. And of course, I would like to acknowledge my wonderful audience and even you at home for tuning in, and for you every week to sit down here with me as we discuss issues that are affecting women of Kenya. So to start us off, I'll start off with you, Cecilia. First of all, thank you so much for making it here. Cecilia, just in your own words, very comfortably, tell us a little bit about yourself. Ulijipataje ukiwa single parent? Because I'm sure most people think someone woke up today and said, I want to pay all my bills by myself. I want to struggle alone, How did you end up as a single parent, my dear?
Okay, thank you so much, Ashiko, for having me. My name is, as you said, Cecilia, and I found myself single parenting when my husband died. That is 11 years ago. And I am a domestic driver. That's what I do for a living, to cater for my bills. And I am a mom of 3, 22, 15 and 13. So I was left with very young kids to take care of.
Yeah.
So far so good. I can't complain. God has been so faithful to me. Yeah.
Cecilia, congratulations, by the way. Raising your children by yourself for 11 years is not an easy feat. And pole sana, of course, kwa msiba. And congratulations. By the way, so much hats off to you. Now, you've mentioned that you earn a living through being a domestic driver. What's a domestic driver?
Okay, a domestic driver is entirely a personal driver. My boss is a very busy mom. She's also a widow like me. So I pick her kids from school, I drop them home, I do shopping, I run errands, I drive for long distances. Most people don't like driving for long distances.
Of course.
So, and I'm very passionate about it. When I'm not working for her, I'm hired as a driver,
yes.
And people don't want to, they want a driver and they just want to relax and they want to be taken to places.
Wow.
So I drive them along very well and bring them back and earn a living.
Wow.
Yes.
I really like that. First of all, we're talking about a driver. This is a driver is an occupation that someone would think is predominantly male. you know, especially you're driving people long distances, be it at night, navigating jam ya Nairobi, nini kina Eastlands, Mombasa Road. Yani you're a pro at that.
15 years experience on these roads.
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with roads, whether day or night.
So someone else in our panel who's also a single mother is Esther. So Esther, karibu sana Dada's show. Thank you for making time to sit with us today. Kindly tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in this single parenting journey.
Thank you very much, Ashiko, for having me here. My name is Esther Juguna. I come from Ngong Town, a caterer by profession, but I'm involved in other businesses. I am a single mother of a 19-year-old, and how I got to be a single mother, I went playing around and I got a baby. Yes, and that's how I became a single mother, because the father is not ready and was not ready to become a father. So I continued with parenting my son, which I have, and he's now in college.
Wow, congratulations. I love your honesty, you know. And then finally, we have Mr. Shadrach. I am honored to have you here. You fall in a very, in a very unique demography of gentlemen, who are left raising their children. And they do it so well. But let me not speak on your behalf. Kindly, Shadrach, karibu sana Dada's show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Ashiko, for having me. My name is Shadrach Okenyu. I also come from Ngong. And I am an interior decorator by profession. But I also have two other things that I do. I am a human rights defender, very vocal about human rights in Ngong and Kajiado at large. And I am also a motivational speaker, for that matter. I nurture small kids as well.
Yes.
Now, my story is a really unique one because it all started by me trying to do what my parents taught me to do. I was taught to be a responsible person from while I was still a young boy.
Yes.
So here is a situation where a boy meets girl, things happen, and a child is on the way. And I was always taught that if you make a mess, you own up. So this is a boy who never really wanted to let this girl go suffer with a child alone.
Yes.
So I decided to kind of keep the child with the mother as well. So basically, I'm one person who got married because there was a baby coming. And then I found myself as a single dad because I underwent some quite a lot of emotional abuse.
Yes.
This lady knew I loved her so much, so she could go out to do whatever she wanted, knowing so well that she would still go back to this man who was so clueless, so much in love. And I tried holding on for 7 years. That was an on and off basis.
Yes.
So I called it off in 2004. My firstborn right now is 26 years old.
Wow.
And then my secondborn is 21. I am turning 52 this year. When I decided to call it off, the lady wasn't really ready to let it go. And she really did almost everything she could. I found myself taken to the children's department. I found myself taken to feeder. And I stuck to my guns.
Yes.
When people from feeder came visiting, I at that time I was so distraught. The only thing I told them is, if you knew your job, how to do your job, you'll not be coming after me. You'll be going after the person who came to report me. And indeed, they went to the ground, they did their research. Eventually, by God's grace, I fought for custody of my children and I got it.
Oh, wow.
I took my second-born daughter when she was 1 year and 8 months old. And with the help of my mom and my sisters, we made it. It was not easy.
Asante sana Shadrach. I mean, your story is truly a testament to, that single parent homes actually do produce well-rounded, holistic young individuals, who can stand their own. So those are some of the stereotypes that we'll touch on, that people sit down and think, watoto wa single parents, kuangi. But asante sana. We'll get back to you in regards to some of the challenges that you had touched on a little bit. Now, moving to you, Cecilia, and on the topic of challenges, So here you are, you're a domestic driver, you've been left with 3 children to raise. What are some of the challenges that you have, just some of the key challenges that you have experienced since, of course, the passing of their father?
Okay, the challenges I've had is when their dad died, I was not working. I used to do some small business, but it was not sustainable.
Yes.
But what the challenges, the main challenge that I faced because of my traveling and my work, I had to take my kids to boarding school at a very young age.
Yes.
At a very young age, as young as grade 2, so that at least I can navigate on how to take care of them and provide for them.
Yes.
And another challenge I had was my in-laws. Yeah, you know, like I was married in Luyaland. So in Luyaland, I was told, I come from Embu, I was told when your husband dies, you're the one who has killed him. Whether he has died through an accident, whether he has died through sickness. My husband drowned in a swimming pool in Mombasa. He was not sick. He had gone to work. So relating with my in-laws became a problem a lot, especially the succession part. But the courts favored me, and I really prayed about it. And that's why I'm a proud widow and single mother and taking care of my kids.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, let's give her a round of applause for that. Because, and I think those are some of the challenges that single parents experience, where you have to make some very tough choices. Of course, you would have loved to have your children there to go through. Maybe we always start considering things like boarding school in high school. You don't think about it in primary school. But now as a single parent, and you know, it makes a lot of sense, you know, coming from where I'm coming from, you know, if you have to provide, you have to work long hours, you have to do this, how are you going to, that is where we will touch on the work and life balance. And of course, we applaud. Nobody will understand some of the choices that single parents have to make. But I think I always say at the end of the day, wewe ndo uko kwa ground, wewe ndo unajua vile vitu ziko. So thank you so much, Cecilia, on that. I will still on the topic of challenges. Esther, so here you are, using your words, umecheza, umepata mimba. Mzee is not, the boy, the young, the man, whatever, is saying, hapa mimi siko. What are some of the challenges that you've experienced?
My first challenge was telling my parents that I was expectant.
Yes.
Because my parents are pastors.
Oh, wow.
In a church. So you're a pastor's kid who is pregnant. So there's stigma, number one. And along the line, when the children are growing up, maybe the neighbors, they find you, you're in a neighborhood where most of the people in the compound are married.
Yes.
And you are not married. And you happen to open the gate for one of the married men. Oh, why are you opening the gate for our men?
Husband, yeah.
So that is another challenge for the single mothers. You have to be very cautious with how you relate with the neighbors, and especially the opposite gender. Along the line, when my son got into high school, he became a bit problematic, as teenagers can become. And you see, single parents' children are very defiant. That is the notion that people have. And so when he had a little issue, it was blown out because he's from a single mother. The society, the school, you try to argue it out, and it was not easy. At some point, I almost went nuts. Yeah. But I thank God, because God has been gracious. He has helped me up. And more so, I've had people, a support group, people who have been there for me, who have held my hand and walked with me, telling me, patting my back, telling me, move on, move on. And I can say my parents too have helped me, even despite the embarrassing them, they still upheld us and have worked with us.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. So when we're talking about some of the challenges, so we've already been able to pick up, you know, the stigma. And I think very many single parents can be able to identify with what you're talking about in regards to them looking at the parent status instead of looking at the mistake. Instead of looking at the child, they look at the parent. So asante sana for pointing out some of your challenges. And then now finally, Mr. Shadrack, give us some of the key challenges that you have experienced being a single father.
You're looking at a man with 2 daughters.
Oh, yes.
One was taken at 1 year and 8 months old. And before I really became comfortable with letting my mom come in to help, I was taking care of them on my own. The younger one we're still so tight.
Yeah.
We are really tight, I'm really tight with my girls.
Yes.
But then the younger one has a connection with me that is really, 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 really extremely tight.
Yes.
Imagine a man washing a girl child, staying with the girls in the house. The society around would raise eyebrows, as in, huyu ni mwanamume. Nani amemruhusu kukaa na watoto wa kike? Several times I had visits from the children's department, people having reported stuff like, I've left the kids alone in the house, coming back late, I had to do a really delicate balance between going out there to fend for them and being there for them. But then what I really did was start to train the kids at a very, very early age. Sandra, my firstborn daughter, started becoming like, she turned into a caregiver at a very, very young age. And I think that is one of the reasons she became a certified nurse. She helped me so much in taking care of the younger one, all right? Guys would really, they will really make fun.
Yeah.
Some of them were like, wewe ulikuwa umeondelewa shida alafu unaenda unachukua shida unajirudishia, According to them, it was a mistake going to the children's department and fighting for custody of the kids. But then when it comes to raising them, I can very, 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 very confidently say that I never ever had a problem when it comes to indiscipline in my girls. Never ever. The only time I was called to school to solve a certain issue was with a younger daughter who slapped a boy who was harassing her. And by the time I was reaching there, all the teachers were like, msichana wako hana tatizo. Weenda tu ongeleshe teacher vizuri. The girl is innocent, But then, I'm also thankful to my mom. My mom is a teacher. My dad was a game warden. They were really, really, really good disciplinarians. All right? It was either you toe the line or you toe the line. All right? That is what I passed to my girls. All right? Yeah. But then I also made them my friends at a very, very early age. These are 2 girls who believed whatever daddy says is right. Whatever anybody else says is only right after they confirm with dad. All right? So, really, family was really there for me. Family, there was a time I was out of the country for 3 years. Back then we didn't have, the only thing we had was Yahoo, communicating on Messenger. Back then we didn't even have, not so many people had Android phones.
Yeah,
Zilikuwa katululu tu,
Tululu ndo hizo tu.
So I really counted on my mom and my sisters to help me take care of my kids. All right? And honestly speaking, the support that I got from them is what made myself and my daughters be the people we are today. Wow. And I'm forever indebted to my family for helping me raise those girls.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I mean, I think the importance of a support system is the support system is very key, especially in single parenting. And on that question, actually, that's what I wanted to ask you, Cecilia. How important was support? Because we've looked at a scenario where Shadrach has gotten support, Esther has gotten support, but you were getting fought from the in-laws. Mara, you killed someone. How important is support from family, friends and relatives in the single parenting journey to you?
Okay, on the challenges that I faced, apart from the in-laws, I had a sister, my younger sister, who was she was very supportive of me and my immediate family. The other thing that, another thing that I can thank God is the church. I got involved in the church. Our priest took me along the journey, because grieving is not easy.
Yes.
When you're left when you are very young with very young kids, with another family trying to fight you and trying to take your kids, trying to take whatever your husband has left for you. So I just thank God that my sister took care of me, and she gave me she didn't have much, but she sacrificed all she can for me, at least, to be able to cope and to heal, because healing was a process. It took me so many years, like more than 6 years to heal, because those kids were very young. They never knew, by the time my husband died, we didn't have any burial of a close person. They've never experienced someone dying. So they were wondering, why are they pouring soil on Dad? Why are people crying? Where is Dad? So they could keep on, as in, the wound will not heal when you have to explain to them, Dad will never come back.
You have to relive the experience over and over.
And then they are wondering, why do other kids have dads and we don't have? What happened? As in, but at least now they understand. I take them through the process. I show them my wedding photos. I show them their dad. I tell them this was their dad, he died. At least now they can understand. But it's still a process.
So it's evident and it's obvious that a support structure is very, very key when it comes to raising children. Let alone just for single parents, but for any parents. It's good to always have someone who can step in, who you can call on when you're having a bad day. But of course, it's extremely crucial for single parents. Our relatives, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our neighbors, those who have stepped up when sometimes the load gets a bit hard. So we really do appreciate you out there. Now, we have touched on a few stereotypes here and there, or misconceptions that people have. Just educate me. Tell me a little bit more. What are some of the misconceptions that you have had, depending on your particular situation?
The misconceptions that I've had is that when you're a single parent, people don't understand when you're single. They don't understand. Even if you're a widow or like for her case where she got pregnant at an early age, they think maybe you failed. You failed somewhere. Why don't you have a husband? Why? What happened? And if you had, where is he? So most people think maybe like for my case, people think, oh, she killed her husband so she can get the succession thing and stuff. And others think in the society, they think when they see you living well without a man, they're like, oh, she has a baba somewhere who is supporting her.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't believe that you can do it alone. That is the most challenging thing in the society.
Yeah. Which is true. I think everybody is normally very curious. And I think primarily it's just curiosity. And a little bit of udaku. So everybody will want to sit down and kwa nini hajaolewa? And I think sometimes we really, really, really need to evaluate what we consider as women and what we consider as man and what we consider as society as statements of success. For instance, there are people who consider marriage as a form of success. I have made it because now I'm married. There are people who consider my children have gone to school as a form of success. There are people who consider if they live in a certain place. So I guess in life it is what you consider important and what you don't. So when it comes to single parents, people are like, na nani atakusaidia kulea watoto in the case of Shadrach. Anyway, let's move on. Esther, what other misconceptions have you had in your case? Myths, misconceptions, story too, in regards to being a single mother?
Thank you for the question. The misconception that is there is that single mothers are loose in this aspect, that they are readily available to any man.
Yeah.
I am sorry to tell you, we are not readily available to any man.
Preach.
Because as personally, I am born again.
Yes.
I found Christ after I got the baby.
Yes.
I rededicated my life to Christ. And you see, having known Christ, it builds you up and know that there is life after sin. After you have repented, God is there. He's there for everybody, not a section of people, but for everybody. So I know that I should not be available for anybody. And like Cecilia says, people are looking at you have a sponyo somewhere. I am sorry to tell you, we are able to fend for our families. I said I'm a caterer.
Yes.
And when I'm not catering, I am involved in other businesses. So I find I am able to cater for my son single-handedly.
Yeah.
Maybe little support from family and even those who give me businesses. But that is a misconception that I want to tell people should think otherwise about it. We are not readily available to anybody because we are single parents.
Wow. Thank you so much. A round of applause. I feel like that was very passionate, but of course it resonates with very many people. And there's something you also mentioned earlier about if you're living in a community and they know that you're single, if they see you speaking to somebody's husband, oh, you're not this, oh, you're not this. I think predominantly the biggest misconception that people have about single mothers is you are someone of loose morals. You are someone who's readily available. There are so many cases that bring forth a child. You know, there's so many things that can happen to somebody. It would be rather redundant for somebody to narrow down and make a blanket statement over every single parent. So I think this is why we're having such conversations, so that we can decipher, so that we can break some of those myths that are always going around that make it extremely difficult for single parent households to even exist, to thrive, for their children to go far. You know, so asante sana Esther. And finally, Shadrach, tell me, some of you must have heard all of them. What are some of you had touched on a few, but give us some more. What are some of the myths and misconceptions and stereotypes that people have towards single fathers?
The first one and foremost, so many people think that when a marriage breaks, it's usually the man that made a mistake somewhere. All right? And it even becomes harder for people like me who never really wanted to go out there and tell the society what really transpired. Because you see, I have this conviction that the mother to my children will remain to be the mother to my children.
True.
And I should never ever go out there and tell every other person, tell the world that this is what she did. Because you see, when you do that, the people that suffer most are the kids. Because every other person will be looking at this child and they will be saying, angalia huyu anaringa na mama yake ama baba yake alifanya kitu fulani. All right? People should learn to guard their secrets. Number two, I never made the mother to my kids my enemy. Even though what transpired was really, really, really hurting. Because I know that she will forever be the mother to my kids. That is something that not even God can reverse. All right? And I never stopped my kids from talking to their mother. If you deny a child an opportunity to talk to the father or the mother, okay, it is this child that will one way or another become traumatized. All right? So when we do that, we are only doing that for the good of the child, not for our own advantages.
So we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back for the quick question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you've missed a hell of a fast session. But fear not, all the episodes of Dada's show that are airing and have aired before can all be found on YouTube at Dada's Show Kenya. You can also reach me directly at Ashiko, the host, or reach out on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. The topic of the day is single parenting in Kenya. We've had an opportunity to interact with, Cecilia, who was widowed. We have an opportunity for Esther, who is unmarried, and finally Shadrach, who is divorced and is a single father. And we've learned so much. Now, we will move on to the question and answer session where I am sure my wonderful audience and those of you at home have a question or two for our very able panel. To start us off, we have Sue. Sue has a question.
Thank you very much, Ashiko. My question is to Cecilia. I'm Sue Musando of Parenting Teenagers Hub. And I'm very curious to find out how you've handled the case of male role models for your children, because it seems to be a lonely fight. But how are you doing? Where are you getting the support, dear?
Thank you so much, Sue, for that question, especially with what we are discussing in the boy child lagging behind. Where do you get the role models for your sons?
All right, thank you so much, Sue, for your question. Okay, I've not yet really found a role model for my boys. They've learned the hard way. But I engage them in activities like church activities, where like our catechism, where they are male dominated mostly. So that's where they get the support. But internally, like in my house, maybe their grandfather once in a while who is very far away.
Okay then. Our next question or comment is to Dora.
My question goes to the gentleman Shadrach, because I know, as we all know, parenting does not come with a manual. I would like to know how you navigated through parenting your two girls, especially during their adolescent stage.
Thank you so much for that question. As I had indicated before, what I did with my girls is I made them my friends at a very early age. And up to where they became teenagers, we became so free with each other that there was no question my girls wouldn't ask me. They would feel very comfortable asking me any question, discussing with me any experiences that they were going through. And then I also used to be very close to the teachers in their schools. And I always designated a teacher, a task, to ensure that they really followed my girls' moves in school. And in case there were any changes in their habits, I'll always know, all right? So that one, to me, I really thank God that I really started from a very early age to nurture them, to trust in, believe, and also count on me for each and everything that they needed. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's an excellent answer. So I have a follow-up question on that. So does it mean that you actually had, because of course right now the modern man is well aware about puberty, about periods, about all the things that are around that, but you are in your 50s. When growing up, some of these things were considered taboo. Girls were still hiding when they're in their period, So does it mean that you actually had to educate yourself and re-educate yourself in regards to the female anatomy?
Luckily for me, my parents, as I told you, my mom was a teacher. Our parents were modern parents back then.
Yes.
All right?
Wow.
What we are right now is actually a reflection of what our parents were.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to stuff to do with puberty, those were things that we already understood. And in fact, for my girls, I always alerted them. And I told them, like, okay, Mom, when this and this and this happens, come to me. And nobody should make you feel less of a woman. I started buying my girls the sanitary towels from the first day that they set on.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And I did that until they were 19.
Yeah.
All right? Sometimes I even forget and I just send them money because I know. It's almost that time. Sometimes
Yeah.
I forget, and one of especially the big one will tell me like, "Okay, Dad, surely I'm 26. I'm making my own money.
I think I got
this.
this.
I got this. Yes. All right.
Thank you so much. That's truly profound. And I'm hoping even for the parents who are at home, maybe the single fathers who are at home, and they have young girls, and then educate yourself. If maybe you did not have an upbringing such as Shadrach's, educate yourself. I keep on saying the internet is a treasure trove of information. Get a book, learn about the various stages. Behave like you're going back to school and you're learning biology, because that will really make the girl feel confident. She will feel safe. She will feel reassured to be a woman. Our next question or comment is from Marion. Marion?
My question goes to Esther. I'm a mom. I have 3 teens. And the question of dating comes up many times. We are raising children in a different generation, and the discussions we have are different. I'd just love to know what your take is on relationships now that you're raising your son and you're almost going to have an empty nest. How is it for you? What are your thoughts on that? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. It is an interesting question. I remember when my son was going to Form 1, I had just started dating, and I remember he told me, Mom, I'm happy, nikienda shule, najua hautakuwa peke yako.
Oh.
And I was like, Milton, what's wrong with you? And he was like, yeah, I know you're not, at least you're going to be having somebody to talk to. So for me and my son, we are candid. We are somehow candid, though I'm not dating at the moment, but we are candid I'm candid with him. Like, it's a discussion, it's an open discussion with him. Like, I would joke and say, I'm talking to my boyfriend. Like, if I'm on call for a long time, in New York, I'm like, my boyfriend. Like, nah. So that's us. And it is good to be open with your children, because if you hide, it is very dangerous. And another thing, if I am dating today, my first intro, my name is Esther, and I am a mother of 1. So if you're taking me from there, you take me. Because I don't want to stay having hidden the fact that I am a mother, and then later on, the person realizes that I am a mother. So I am very candid with that. So to mothers, I would advise you that always be open about your parenthood.
Wow. I feel like she deserves a round of applause on that one. Because especially as single mothers, single fathers, single parents, always keep on struggling when you're ready to date, when you're ready to move on. Human beings love companionship. We are social creatures. So since things did not work out with ABCD, how do you introduce the new man? Even the stage of how do you even introduce the new person? How long does it take in the relationship before you introduce a person to your children? And now we are about to close the show. We have our next question from Naomi. Naomi?
Thank you very much for this chance to ask a question. My question goes to Esther. She said that she got the baby and she never got married. That means the son did not get in touch with the father. How do you deal with the son when now he's grown up and now he wants to see the father who was not ready to father him when he was young?
It is an interesting question again. And it came when Milton was in Form 2. That is when they want to identify themselves. And the questions come in. And first question was like, why I gave him a second name as a Maasai name. And he was like, why are you giving me this name? And I was like, did you want me to call you Milton Juguna Wamboi? He was like, no. That is why I gave you a Maasai name, so that you can identify yourself with your father. And he still wanted to know more about his father. And Ashiko, I can tell you, it is not easy when they begin asking those questions. And around that time, the father called and he asked about his son and pretended to want to meet the son. Long story short, he did not meet the son. And they talked on phone at least twice. He promised the son heaven, but never did anything. And today, my son does not want anything to do with his father. He does not ask any question concerning his father. That's where we are at now.
Well, I think that's rather unfortunate. I think every situation is unique. At the end of the day, I always like to say, let's focus on the children. And you may be heartbroken, you may be disgusted by the person who you got a child with, maybe for a myriad of reasons. But I think at the end of the day, especially for boys, when they want to seek identity, there's really nothing much you can do about it. But you always have to exercise your judgment. Is this person responsible? Does this person have the potential of actually fostering a relationship with a child who he has not been in his life for the longest time? Is this person responsible for, is this person going to step in and fill in the shoes that this boy so desperately needs? And if you have, because we are mothers and we have instincts, remember, first of all, you have to put all of your feelings aside. Despite the fact that umelea mtoto umemfikisha pale umemfikisha alafu mtu anakuja, you have to remember that this child, it takes two to tango. So once you exercise your own intuition and your better judgment and say, this is perhaps I should let them. And of course, for such situations, it's always advisable to start with baby steps. Don't go full on. A child doesn't start walking. A child crawls first. And then you keep observing it as you go. And it's always important to listen to your child. Do not be so caught up in the desperation of, oh my God, I want my child to identify with his father so that I can stop looking like I am a single mother. No. Listen to your child. If your child is not comfortable with this individual, remember this individual is a complete stranger to them. And this is a gentleman, this could be a lady. It's a complete stranger to them. So always listen to your children. That is my take. That's my personal take when it comes to the introduction of the absentee parent. Our final question of the day is from Naomi.
My name is Beth. I'm a teacher by profession. My question goes to Shadrach. You told us you left your children for 3 years. Yes? When you came back, was there a disconnect between you and your daughters?
Thank you, Beth. There was no disconnect. The kind of bond that I'd created with these girls was really, really, really tight. And even at those days when we really didn't have internet, I always used to make sure that I use our office phone to call my mom. And it will always be, you know the way you're so much in love, you found a new love, and then you just from work, and then you're really talking, chit-chatting, like, okay, what are you eating? You talk for hours and hours and hours. That is the kind of relationship that I'd set with my girls. So they never really felt my absence. They were really, really, really comfortable with my mother and my sisters, and the phone calls that I really made so many times. Sometimes when I was on my recess, I would even talk to them like 3 days. 3 times in a day when they're on vacation. So it is something that was and is still very tight as we speak. My firstborn is getting married next year.
Oh wow!
And
congratulations!
And it's something that is really it's really confusing, because on one part I feel like I'm losing my baby, but then on the other side I'm feeling like I'm so proud of myself because she's getting married.
Wow!
We are going to have a new family member. And every other person is looking at us and they're like, you guys really, really, really made it.
You made it.
You really, really, really made it,
Wow.
And I think, I hope this is still going to be, in response to what you've asked about disconnect and all that. Right now, I'm trying to let go. Bit by bit. You see, the kind of call that I used to make with her, I'm trying to reduce that because I do not want to take so much of her time. And here there is a fiancé. all right? I need to learn to give space. It's not easy. It's not easy. Sometimes I look at my phone and I'm like, okay, I've not called this girl for like 2 days. And to me, that is a crime. But then I remind myself, like, okay, when I'm not talking to her, she has that man talking to her, so she's sorted. I take my consolation to the fact that Shirley is still there. I mean,
You still have one more.
I still have one more, you know. So really, parents, not just single parents, but also ordinary parents. There is nothing as beautiful as winning your kids over. Making sure that your children trust you, making sure that your children can talk to you when they have a problem, no matter how humongous that problem seems. It is really important to let your kids know that there is no shame in talking about things that they are sorry for, things that they feel they should be ashamed of after having done, all right?
Yes.
It's not, it's really important to ensure that these kids have a good memory of their childhood.
I can echo what you said. I think it's always important to be intentional when there's any form of distance involved when you're raising children, be it in a single parent household, be it in both a household that has both parents. If you're far away, it is always good to be intentional in communication and keeping and being as consistent as possible. Otherwise, life has to happen. You have to work, you have to hustle, you have to toil, and sometimes that will take you away from your children. But my words of encouragement are, you know, children are resilient. And children forgive. Children are not like adults. Children wako na roho safi. So we have definitely come to the end of this very interactive, informative, and insightful episode of Dada's show. Now, parenting in itself is already very, very daunting. Now, try and picture parenting as a single parent. You have to juggle so many aspects of life. You have to deal with your household, your career, you have to deal with your work-life balance, and at the same time, you have to deal with the ridicule and the stereotypes from society. So, in the spirit of inclusion and acceptance, today I want to urge you all to be more compassionate and understanding of single-parent households around you. You know, do not criticize what you do not understand. Do not judge what you do not understand. Different situations bring forth different kinds of families. And like I mentioned, 40% of the households in Kenya are led by a single parent, meaning that this is a fixture in society. So it's about time we embrace and accept so that we can definitely have a better life for the future generations. So on behalf of the production team at KBC and my location partner, Best Western Hotel here in Upper Hill, and myself, Ashiko Mbune, thank you all for joining us, and I wish you all a lovely week. I will catch you same time, same place next week. Until then, goodbye.